everyone, I'm Marcelo Wazana, and today I want to share with you a very important moment and important realizations that I had last semester or during the second semester of 2025 during a coaching session I had with a colleague, a teacher. Well, we all say we want engagement, but very few people explain how engagement is actually built. Nothing made that clearer than working with this colleague who was genuinely frustrated because even with strong material and a solid preparation, her students were disengaging. What we uncovered together changed everything for her class. So today I'm going to show you the cognitive design blueprint that we used to rebuild engagement consistently and that you can apply in any language lesson starting tomorrow. As a matter of fact, you can apply this in any lesson. So where it all began? It all began with one very specific pattern. The class wasn't noisy. They weren't misbehaving. In fact, quite the opposite was true. They were quiet and polite and completely disconnected. They did the activities, but without intention. They waited for instructions constantly. They participated only in the most superficial, checking the box way. And that's when the first insight emerged. Engagement isn't about motivation. It's about thinking. If I don't activate the students' thinking at the start, if they don't know what they're supposed to notice, they switch off. But the second layer, was the lesson flow. Strong activities, but disconnected transition moments of good teaching, but not tied together. And the third layer, well, that was the real breakthrough. One day, we brought an amazing video to class, a National Geographic explorer telling the story of sleeping alone in a tent in the African savannah. Everyone else in her camp was on raised platforms. She was on the ground as a joke, and in the middle of the night, a lion appeared. It sniffed the tent, it pressed its weight onto the fabric, it lay down on her arm, essentially pinning her down, and fell asleep. She froze, the lion slept, and eventually she fell asleep too. In the morning, the lion was gone. The students loved the video. Total attention. But then came the task. Think of a story you liked. Why do you think you find it interesting? And suddenly there was silence. Flat answers, general comments, no depth. That's where the insight landed. Students don't produce what they don't notice. And they don't notice what hasn't been framed. The problem wasn't the video, wasn't the topic, it wasn't the task, it was the design. The cognitive blueprint has 3 moves: the cognitive activation, the structural clarity, the intentional output design. Let's start with move 1. The first layer is simple. The brain learns better when it knows what lens to use. So before the task, you choose 1 or 2 lenses. For example, before the task that didn't work, the before task, why did you like the story? So this is just too general. It's based on opinion, not noticing any language or any pattern. It doesn't activate thinking. So what did work? Find 1 moment of tension. Identify 1 sensory detail. Notice a language pattern the speaker uses. So these lenses, they shift from passive listeners to purposeful thinkers. Try this tomorrow. Choose 2 noticing lenses before a video, a reading, or a listening task. It changes everything. The second layer is flow. A good lesson isn't a sequence of fun activities. A good lesson is a cognitive journey. When transitions are abrupt or unclear, students fall back into autopilot. But when the flow is predictable and logical, the mind relaxes and engages. The 3 guiding questions we used were: what do students need to notice? How will they use it later? And what is the clear transition from phase to phase? This turned her lesson from disjointed segments into a meaningful path. This is the most powerful layer now. After input comes transformation, but transformation only happens when the output is intentional. What we did during the coaching: after the video, students chose one element to borrow from the Explorer. A tense pattern, a sensory detail, a tension moment, a rhythm technique, and they used it in their own story. The outcome? Richer storytelling, stronger language choices, more confidence, because they had a clear mission. Let's build a 10-minute lesson together using this blueprint. So, before the video, we have the activation moment. During the noticing period, make sure students are answering these questions. Which words intensify the moment? What verb patterns show up into the description? So, after this, we have the output phase. Choose one technique that you noticed and integrate it into your own story. That's it. You've just rebuilt an entire lesson with clarity and purpose. So try this tomorrow. Add 2 noticing lenses to your lessons. Give students something specific to find before the input starts. Clarify the transitions. Explicitly state how the noticing task connects to the next step. And limit to one goal. Reduce the cognitive load of the final task to ensure quality. So you will find these ready-to-use tools in the download in the description of this video. Engagement isn't about making things entertaining. Engagement happens when students feel that what they are doing has a cognitive purpose. When you activate thinking and structure the flow and design intentional output, students participate because the lesson makes sense, not because you're trying to get their attention. If you want to share your results with me, come over to Pedagotech's Substack, pedagotechenglish.substack.com. I love seeing how these ideas come alive in your classroom. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next workshop.